Hello and welcome to a WandaVision first impression.
Hello and welcome back to another Spacemen from Pluto review. I'm your host for this episode, James, and joining me is...
Ben.
Dan.
The wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazim.
And Christian.
And for this episode, we're going to be doing, a quick little review of the first two episodes of WandaVision, which, as we record, released just today. It's very fresh in our minds. Let's just get straight into it, guys. What do we think of this so far?
What did you think, James? Because you're the big Marvel.
I do
the
like
biggest
my
fanboy
Marvel.
of Marvel. What's the first proper Marvel show?
Yeah, man,
Tie-in
it's
show. What do you think?
super interesting, I think. It doesn't feel very Marvel at all, but that's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's still got its, not tone, but they still feel like the characters, kind of, even though it's a very sort of 50s sitcom version of them. You can kind of tell it's been made by Marvel, but it doesn't feel like any of their films or shows they've done so far. But that's kind of the point, and I really like it. I like seeing them do this new form and do this new format and make it work. It's not the same thing that we've seen time and time again.
Yeah.
You seem less convinced, Ben.
It was all right.
Yeah, I'm not raving about it. I think
Yeah.
it's good, and I think it's a good start. We're setting up what this sort of show
Yeah.
and this season's going to be about. Not a lot happens, and I did think this. I was like, the fact they've given us 2 episodes out of 9 already, and it still feels like it's setting up. I was a bit I'm enjoying it, but I get that we're in a 50s sitcom.
It's a good thing they did release the first 2 episodes, because if they just released that first episode, oh dear, I would be not... I thought the first episode was pretty poor, to be honest. Just not funny,
Wow,
engaging,
okay.
pretty forgetful, not really that important. The recap at the start of the second one was all you needed, that 10 seconds. You could remove the other 20 minutes of that first episode. I don't care, the boss is round for dinner and he's going to work, and it wasn't weird enough. The second episode is more what I thought. The second episode isn't weird.
It's setting up the weirdness of it, though, isn't it? The first episode, you can't
It wasn't weird. It was just a 50s sitcom.
But I think that's the point.
Yeah,
They
it
set
was-
that up so you've got to give a baseline so you can then start doing things. Should it have
wasn't
taken a
quite.
whole episode? Maybe not.
Whole 20 minutes of just a sitcom. And then
It's
the
only
last
20
10
minutes,
seconds.
though. It wasn't the last 10 seconds, though, because the first episode was they had the... Correct me if I'm wrong. They had the dinner party in the first episode, right?
Yeah.
Or was it... Right, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So they
with
kept...
the boss and
Yeah,
stuff.
they had that whole thing with the... I did like the way it was stringently sticking to the 50s sitcom type framing until the dinner scene, where it did start to change. But there's something, and there's something a bit weird going on. They've changed the kind of
It's
stylistic.
the camera angles. They use close-ups. It's not filmed like a sitcom at that
It
point.
suddenly felt a bit horror.
Yeah. I think they start doing that sort of weird something's not quite right here early on in the episode. They just do it within the confines of trying to stick to the sitcom.
Yeah,
'Cause of
when
course,
I just wanted more though, because when Paul
When he's-
Bettany's at work and he's like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah, what do we do?
I like that the cracks are showing already. My thing
Yeah.
is that I noticed, so I get that he's noticing all this. I love how no one's noticed that there's this completely normal guy that works in an office that's called Vision. No one's questioned that yet.
Well, that's the thing. There's already cracks starting to show in the logic, even with the sort of normalcy of a sitcom being retained. Even just in the intro where they're like, "Oh, there's a heart drawn on the calendar," and Vision's like, "Well, of course I know what's going on. I never forget. I'm a human computer. Of course I don't forget." And then she's like, "So what's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't know."
Do you guys know what
It's
that is,
like-
by the way? Is that some sort of reference to him dying or something? Or
No, it's just the fact that he is
That's
a
the
computer.
story
I think it's the fact that
sitcom.
he doesn't forget anything, but he doesn't know because I'm assuming it's Wanda's forming this universe as it
Yeah.
happens. I
Sure,
don't
yeah.
think stuff
Ma-
is planned.
Yeah.
My guess as to August 23rd is it might relate to the comics in some way,
hadn't thought
but
of
then
that.
again, it might be like the events at the end of Infinity War, where August 23rd might be the day that Vision died.
yeah.
I don't know.
His anniversary of his death or something, or
Yeah.
Yeah,
or the day she got locked up or something, because she's in some sort of facility, isn't she? She's being monitored by potentially Hydra, because his watch was Hydra.
Well, I was just about to say, did we notice that the
little
two adverts we've had are for a Strucker watch, the guy who gave her powers, and a Stark toaster, the guy who kind of created who she was at first because of the whole he bombed Sokovia. Well, his tech was used to bomb Sokovia.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. I noticed that in the first episode, the only bit of colour was the light on the toaster. Do we think that means anything, or do we think
and the helicopter she picks up?
That was in the second episode. Like, each episode's had one bit of colour in it.
Sorry.
No, because the second episode also has the blood that's in colour.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So shut up, James.
Yeah. Talking out my arse. No, I just wonder. Like, I'm assuming it's a whole thing of the real world is seeping in, but I wonder what is the significance of blood, toaster light, and a plane? Do we think there is one, or do we think it's
all
just
red.
a show?
It's all red and yellow. The helicopter's red and yellow, and then red on the blood and the light. Don't know. Iron Man.
My main intrigue so far is trying to figure out who's the antagonist and who is an antagonist and who isn't.
Yeah, I wondered if Wanda is the antagonist and she's almost like a ticking time bomb and they've caged her because she's just gone nuts.
I think you might be right.
And they're trying to mentally bring her back a bit, and maybe as a child she liked sitcoms, and that's how in her psyche she's framed it or something.
Or she grew up watching them because if she's living in an impoverished world in Sokovia, they haven't got all the modern TV and it's all just old reruns. So this is what she's grown up with.
The one story that I think it does link closely to is the House of M. The story in the House of M comics is that Wanda loses both of her children and goes absolutely insane and creates this own reality for herself.
Oh, so it's like replaced it with Vision.
So they've replaced it with Vision. They could still do that, the House of M stuff, because basically she create that. In the comics, her kids are created with magic, and at the end of the second episode, she's magically pregnant.
I think we're definitely going to see the kids in this, Wiccan and Speed.
Yeah, which means that one of the antagonists could very well be Mephisto, though they might have chosen to replace Mephisto with someone else.
I've seen something, I can never remember the actress's name, but the best friend in this, who's popped up in a few other films.
Catherine Hines, I think.
Catherine Hines,
in the credits.
I think that's it. There's been theories I've seen floating around that she's some sort of witch. She did have a name that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh,
so I wonder whether
she's
it's her.
The villain or something, maybe.
And maybe she's what's pushed Wanda over the edge, and she's keeping her in here for some reason. I don't know fully what yet.
Apparently, if you watch back the Bewitched cartoony intro of the second episode, you can see the helmet of another character called Grim Reaper. Okay. And there's some theories that the head of the committee who has that little antagonistic moment with Wanda is Grim Reaper and is sort of aiding in her staying in this reality and becoming more unstable. And Catherine Hines' character is actually a witch who has sort of similar experiences and powers to Scarlet Witch, and is actually trying to keep her sane and stop her. So there's different people interfering in Scarlet Witch's own reality to sort of try. One of them trying to make her crack, one of them trying to keep her from sort of the eventual thing of which I think is going to be tearing a hole in the fabric of reality and opening up the multiverses.
Well, they have said that these shows are going to tie into the films a lot more. So I think how you had films that sometimes were the jumping point for spin-off shows, I think we're now going to get spin-off shows that set up films.
Yeah.
I'm quite glad these episodes are pretty short, though.
They're a nice length. They're a nice length.
They're like, I don't know if I could kind of deal with it to be much longer. I don't quite get why a bit of chewing gum makes Vision seem drunk.
I think that was like, you take away the Marvel world logic, and that is where it's a sitcom thing. Like, that was very sitcom. That was very Bewitched.
Sitcom-y.
It was very Bewitched.
Like the bit when Wanda's in the kitchen in the first episode and the blinds shut and he's like starts singing the yakety yak. And like, I get it, it's a sitcom trope, it's just not funny.
See, not specifically those points, but I remember thinking, like, there were a lot of jokes where it's like, this is just them doing the sitcom thing. I thought there was some actually good humour in there.
I will say, when he said flourish, that made me laugh.
Yeah, man. There's some genuine humour in it. It's not all just, get it, we're a sitcom.
I was going to say, I think that's part of the point, is that they do have these sort of goofy, over-the-top sitcom jokes, and then they insert the canned laughter. Because I noticed it, like, sort of right away at the beginning of the first episode. The canned laughter was just happening way too often. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a point where there's canned laughter cut off by another bunch of canned laughter.
I like the sort of stylistic element of going into that more cinematic look, though. And that scene towards the second episode where that kind of beehive-looking guy gets out of the sewer, right? It reminded me a lot of like one episode of Twin Peaks: The Return. it was a little bit Lynchian. It's interesting, and it also reminds. Have you guys seen Pleasantville?
I've not.
I know of
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those shots when stuff starts appearing in colour are basically pulled straight from Pleasantville, because that's essentially exactly what happens in Pleasantville. The conceit of Pleasantville is like a couple of teenagers get transported into a 50s sitcom, and everything's black and white until certain things happen that turn various things into colour, and it looks exactly the same. And I feel like that's been a definite influence on them in the way they've kind of styled everything.
I know it's only just getting going, but I did judging on this first 2 episodes, I wish it was more weird, and just to save the weirdness till the very last minute, like the guy getting out of the drain is a shame, and I would have liked it if.
But
I would have liked it if Vision and Wanda were a bit more modern. Like, you could have had them be more fish out of water in the 50s sitcom, but because they play it straight, like they're in the sitcom, I just found it a bit dull.
But she wants that, though, doesn't she? She wants that sort of. She wants that very strict. I assume she wants that very strict, kind of very predictable existence of the 50s sitcom, where everything's like everyone has their roles, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it, and I agree. I was just like, meh.
My impression is that she's in some sort of like underground shield hospital, and she has literally passed out and shut down from grief, and that's why the guy on the radio is like, "Wanda, wake up! You know, this isn't real. Come on."
My question is, what's going to be if that is true, what's going to be the event or moment that snaps her? Because it's not like Vision's death is fresh. Like, she's kind of not got over it, but it's not this snap thing. So surely something's got to happen to create all this.
That could be what the whole idea of the show is that it's her getting over the grief of losing Vision, and she's doing it in this sitcom, and she's got to kind of break out of this sitcom in order to act. And, you know, the moment she does that means that she's turned a corner in her own battle. And it's a metaphor.
It's a super-powered version of the whole, when people go through grief and hard times, they turn to like drugs or alcohol, or it's some form of escapism, and this is her version of that.
It's great though, isn't it? That like we're actually in a position where we're getting stories like this being told.
I can't believe this show. I still think there's 2 Ant-Man movies. What?
It's great.
Because we live in the world of 90s Batman still. Like, we're from that generation. Like, it still baffles me this even exists.
Do you guys think that these 2 episodes have done enough to actually bring in a new audience, though? Like, and like a regular person who's not really that well versed in Marvel Universe comes in and watches WandaVision. Do you reckon there's enough there for them to go, yeah, I'll carry on watching this?
I don't, especially that first episode. God no, that first episode's dull as.
I don't think it's dull, but I think they are very much made with the assumption that you know what's going on now. These aren't made to bring in new fans.
Was it filmed during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I've just realised something. You know, the magic show, the audience, they're all socially distanced, aren't they? They're all sat really far apart.
I hadn't thought about that.
It's just
That's
twigs
a
now,
really good point.
yeah, because you said, it's been filmed during the pandemic, so I was thinking, I wonder if this concept came about as a result of, you know,
Maybe.
the restrictions of social distancing, because you've got like the set, the way the set is, you can maintain social distancing quite easily doing that one camera setup, you know, that sitcom does, and then, you know, there's that one scene where everyone's social distanced. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just coincidence. So maybe it's just a coincidence.
I want to ask the big questions here now, though. Do we think that even though it's filmed in black and white, they still fully painted up Paul Bettany in the exact colours and making him go through full makeup?
Yeah.
He must have been like, God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe because it's colours look different in black and white.
That's it. Yeah.
Like if you look at I don't know though, because if you look at a black and white film, it depends if they filmed it in black and white or turned the colour off. because they film it in black and white. The colours are not what you think. People are wearing the opposite colours to make it look good in black and white.
I think they would have filmed it in black and
I
white.
don't know.
Yeah, man, I think it's a really interesting start. They've drip-fed us some things to definitely get me interested. I'm enjoying what they're doing. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes with the rest of the season. Do we think we're all going to... Like, if we weren't doing this podcast and, you know, talking about current things, do we think that you guys would be watching this?
Only because it's so short.
Yeah.
And I'm not... It's quite quick and snappy. I'm just kind of... Because it's so quick, I'm not that bothered about losing 20 minutes of my time to it. So I'd keep going.
Yeah, I think I would have checked it out because it seems like quite an original concept, and also it's a Disney Plus kind of new Disney Plus show, original piece of content from Disney Plus, so it's intriguing on that level, I guess. But whether I keep watching, I don't know.
I've been excited for Marvel stuff before, but this is the period of Marvel where I feel like I'm most excited because we're going into an uncertain phase where they're going to start pulling up C-list and D-list characters, and they're really going to start sort of expanding the Marvel universe and getting weird and wonderful and creative with it. And that's really like the point I wanted Marvel to get to, where they feel comfortable enough to do this sort of characters.
Yeah,
I
wasted
love
more
this
time watching less creative stuff from them, so I might as well keep going.
I love this point of when a genre gets super popular, so you then start seeing the like going against the genre kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited it's for a genre I actually love this time. So I'm all for this kind of thing.
Wonderful.
An interesting show for interesting times.
Yeah, we'll probably be doing more sort of like quick review, but probably won't do one for each episode, but we might do like a quick mention
chunk
each week,
yeah.
and then probably do a series wrap up.
Maybe if something mega happens.
Yeah.
Like maybe if episode 5 something huge happens, maybe we'll talk about 3 to 5, or who knows, maybe nothing will happen till the finale.
It's probably more of a pod. Just mention it on the podcast, I imagine.
Maybe,
until the
Yeah,
end.
maybe weekly, take it on little bits on the podcast, then big
But
stuff.
we'll see.
But yeah,
see how it goes.
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought of the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. What do you want to see for the rest of the season? Just let us know down in the comments. Let us know everything. And don't forget to like, subscribe. You know the deal by now. We're going to beg you for us to support.
It's not hard, is it?
Just subscribe. Just subscribe.
It's not hard, is it?
What's your problem? What's your problem?
Takes literally seconds, if that.
It's not hard, is it?
Anyway, until next time, goodbye.
Flourish.
Bye, everyone.
It's not hard, is it?